Well, good afternoon, viewers. Today we have a 2018 Volkswagen Tiguan, and it's here from a used car lot because the rear hatch doesn't open correctly. So I'm going to operate the switch, and it didn't unlatch. Goes up partially. I see they've got the back trim off for whatever reason. I don't know what they were looking for in here, unless they were doing something with the wiper. Isn't there supposed to be a switch on the tailgate? Seat fold down, or do you just push it down? Well, let's try releasing it from here. Comes up halfway. I wonder if it just needs to be relearned or something. Well, let's put the scanner on and see what's going on. So normally for Volkswagens, I use VCDS software. I've got it connected via USB cable in the VCI. There's probably an update. This is 24.7. I haven't used VCDS for a couple months now. Don't get to work on too many Volkswagens, thank goodness. I'll pick up when this loads. So there is an update, so I'm going to update the software, which takes a good half an hour, 45 minutes. Let's see, it's 101. So it's been 11 minutes. It took 4 minutes to download and unpack the software, and now it's been deleting files for the past 6 minutes. So this is going to be a while. Well, we're coming up on 40 minutes. And it's finally doing the install. It was extracting files, deleting files and extracting files, and now it's doing the install. Wow. 41 minutes. Now we can finish this, now we can scan this vehicle. So I finally got the key on and configured the VCI and auto detect controller area network start. So it should do long coding of all of the controllers. We'll pick up when we get to the end because it takes a while. So we're about halfway through, and there's lots of codes in the computers. This keeps a record of all of this. So all of the modules in red have codes in them. Let's save a copy of this. Let's view it. Let's see if we got anything important here. Supply voltage low. Being a used car, it could have all kinds of codes. ABS brakes. Insufficient voltage. Tire pressure warning. Rear lid opener control module. To fault found. Function restricted due to insufficient voltage. I've got a clean battery charger on it right now. Supply voltage low. Let's just clear all the codes out of all the controllers. Clear all DTCs, because I've got a record of it. Erasing DTCs is usually pretty quick. I did find the switch for the rear hatch. It's on the right hand side. He had taken the plastic trim off and tucked the switch up inside the door. Then go back. Let's have a look and see if it works now. Oh, what's in the steering wheel? Turn signal switch open circuit. Done, go back, close controller. I'm gonna go see if it works. So here's the switch, and it was just tucked up inside. It goes in the plastic trim, which is off. So which button is, there's a button with an A on it. It's not lit up. Now let's try closing it. And reopening it. That's actually worse. Didn't open at all. Let's try opening it from this. Well, let's see what generated, if any code's generated now. Trouble is, I don't know how the system works. I don't know what this switch with the A on it is. You guys are probably more familiar with it than I am. This is just for the little light on the trim. I'm just going to do another network scan again and see what comes up. So there was no relevant codes related to the hatch or trunk. So let's look at basic settings in the trunk electronic controller and resetting all adaptions. Let's see what options we have for this. Resetting all adaptions. Rear lid reset standard. Luggage compartment cover test run. Closing aid test run. Basic setting for luggage compartment cover. Diagnosis. Oh boy, I don't know how to pronounce that. Let's try this. I've got the lid closed now. I don't know if I'm supposed to have it open or closed or nothing. Nothing's happening. You would expect it to open and close. And I'll pick up when it gets to the end of whatever it's doing. Well, that appears to do nothing, so I'm going to do some research. Stop it. So I'm on the Rostec frequently asked questions. It's a good website. This is where VCDS comes from, is Rostec. B2010 has set in the trunk controller, and it says basic settings lost. It says perform basic settings. It says when found in the VW Touareg trunk electronics, this is a Tiguan, 6D control mod perform rear lid relearn. Well, I've looked for that. So, basic settings. There's nothing that says rear lid reset as standardization. I tried that, that didn't work. In fact, that made it stop working completely. Unless it's under something else. Output tests. I tried running this manually, opening the lid and closing the lid, and it doesn't work. I did it with it open and closed and it doesn't work. But the warning sound works. Unless it's in adoption. Wow. Let me read here. This is the active fault code I have in the trunk electronic controller, B201000. If I clear codes, I think it comes back immediately. Let's read it again. Yes, it does. Status of tailgate initialization, initialized. But it doesn't give me the option to, in basic settings, reset all control, rear lid, reset standard, lid compartment cover, closing aid test run, rear lid reset standardization. Now it's open now, and I don't know if I need to have it closed or open or what. And I did this before, and now it just releases, but it used to lift up partially. Oh boy. Each one of these Volkswagens is uniquely crafted. So here's some information I found about rear lid relearn. Prerequisites: rear lid closed, transport mode not active, no rear lid obstructions or damage to the vehicle, park assist functions correctly, no errors if equipped. DTC 2010, no basic settings stored. So how do I get rid of that basic settings stored? Battery voltage at least 12 volts, vehicle on a flat level surface. Select basic settings, select adapt flap opening angle from drop down, click go. Well, I'm going to give this a try, but I got to close the trunk lid. So basic settings, adapt root flap opening angle, go. Conditions not correct or request sequence error. I got that fault code. Let's clear it and see if it clears. I got it closed now, so maybe it'll clear. Let's read the fault code. See, it comes back immediately. 201000. I got to do some more reading. So I'm looking at the criteria for the rear lid relearn. It says rear lid closed, transport mode not active, no rear lid obstruction or damage, park assist functions correctly, no errors. DTC 2010 is stored, and it is. Battery voltage at least 12 volts, vehicle on a flat level surface. So now I'm in VCDS here looking at the status of the, I got a clean battery charger on it. It's 13.5 volts. Rear lid position is 52%, but it's closed. Rear lid pre-latch closed, but status of rear lid lock main latch is open. That doesn't make sense. Rear lid lock in safety catch. I'm going to open the rear lid and see if this switches to closed. Maybe it is already open. Yeah, I think it is already open. No, it's not. Okay, so that's the status of the pre-latch. Main latch open, so it's working fine. So I can't explain why it won't do the relearn. I'm going to close it. Should be able to graph those. I guess I can't graph the status of it. So let's watch if these two switch from closed open to open closed when I close the latch. Closing now. Now it says closed, closed. Okay, let's go back. Let's try to gain access to security. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure if you need access to security for a basic setting. Adapt flap opening angle. Go. It says running, but nothing's happening. Now it says to operate the rear catch manually if it doesn't open. Well, I manually opened and closed it, and it didn't respond. Let's stop this. Let's read this. Adapt flap opening angle from the drop-down menu. The rear lid basic settings will now begin. If the rear lid begins to open, let it continue. If the rear lid does not begin to open, operate the switch on the driver's door or the switch on the outside of the lid. Unknown may be shown on the screen during the procedure. When the rear lid has stopped opening, close the rear lid using the driver's door switch or the inside lid trim switch. Finished correctly should be displayed after the procedure completes. All right, let's try one more time. Let's show in measuring blocks. I'll get set up here. So I've got all the data up, and I'm going to try this again. Minimize this. Where's the stop button? Go. Gonna manually open the door. So it opened partially. Now I'm going to close it with the switch. So it's not responding, but it did open partially again like it did before. Let's try helping it. It says a status of a tailgate initialization is initialized. Okay, I opened it all the way up. And I use the button to try to close it, and it doesn't close. I'm manually closing it. Now this says closed open. Status of rear lid lock main latch open. I've got a feeling we got a faulty latch. So that's what's causing it not to work. Because the status of the rear lid pre-latch is closed, yet the rear lid main latch says open. And when I open the door, so I've opened the door manually, and the main latch still says open. I'm going to go back to the data parameters and look at it and watch it. So I'm convinced the problem is in this rear latch, because right now I've got the rear gate open and the status of the rear lid pre-latch says closed, the rear lid main latch says open, and the rear lid lock in safety catch closed, open, safety. And when I close it, they show closed, closed, and closed. I would expect all three to indicate open, open, open when it's open. Now it's back to opening partially. I opened it manually all the way. And they were closed, closed, closed. Now one says open, open, closed, open, and rear lock and safety catch. So I'm going to look at a wiring diagram. Oh joy, Volkswagen wiring diagrams. So I'm looking at the wiring diagrams for this thing, and there's a rear lid lock unit, which is the catch. It has an electric motor in it and two switches. And then there's a rear lid closing aid, which is cable operated to the latch. Now the funny thing is I went to this lid lock with the latch open and I closed the latch, and ever since then it's been working. I can't believe it. So if all I did was trip this latch with a screwdriver and then operated the release, and it opened. Go figure. I'm going to look at the status of those switches now. So they say closed, closed, closed. And I'm going to operate I'll operate the door switch. Open, 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 which is what I thought they should say, but why was that one not? I wonder if I can close it with the front switch. No, unless I push it down maybe. No, you gotta close it from the back, because I guess they don't want somebody. I'm closing it from the back. Well, I'm not going to screw with it anymore because it's working. Let's see if we got any fault codes. Read fault codes. No fault code found. Oh boy. I hate when I fix something and I don't know what I did to fix it. But I think it was one of those micro switches in the latch that had failed. It wasn't indicating the right status. But it's working now. So I went to operate it one last time and it opened like it did initially. And then it wouldn't go any further. So let's reconnect the scan tool and see what the status of those switches are. Or I'll trip the latch. All I did was trip this latch. And then I operated the switch. Let's see if it closes now. No. No, it's not working again. I'm going to reconnect the scanner. So I've got no codes in the controller. Let's look at the status of the four switches. Rear lid position, relative, status of rear pre-latch, main latch, and lid lock. See, they should all say, see, this lid pre-latch should say open, and this should say open. I'm going to trip the latch. And they all say closed. And now I'm going to release it. Okay, so one of those switches is not changing state. I'm going to try tapping on it. I'm going to take this latch apart and see if I can see anything in it. See if I can figure out which one of those switches is not changing state. So the brown white wire, I can't see that using my camera, and the brown blue wire should change state with the voltmeter. So with the latch unplugged, they all read closed. I'm going to plug it back in again. Reconnecting the latch now. Wonder how this latch, oh, it's held on with two nuts. Yeah, they should all say open. So that's why the lid won't open properly, is because it's in the incorrect state that thinks it's already closed. There's a 4-wire connector going into the latch. The brown-white wire has 12 volts on it, steady, disconnected. And the blue-brown wire has this going on. Now, I don't know, the switch is illustrated normally open, but I don't know how it works. It's got to, because there's a voltage on those wires, it's got to be pulled down to ground. Looks like the ground on the motor. The latch works, so I'm sure that the motor ground is fine. I'm going to plug it back in and see what the voltage is. Is the latch closed now? No, the latch is open. With the switch plugged in and back pinning, I got 12 volts on that brown white wire. And I'm going to close the latch. And I expect that to change state. And it did not. So in theory, if I ground that circuit, that should simulate the switch. Yes, I'm going to open it and ground it. So when I grounded the brown-white wire, they all show open, open, open. And the interior lights came on when I did that, interestingly. So this thing needs a latch. That's enough monkeying around for one night. I took the ground wire off, and the status of the switch went back to closed, and it should be open because the latch is open. So we'll order a latch for this thing. So I'm looking through this first report that I did when I first scanned this thing, and you would think if those two switches were disagreeing, there would be a fault code. But here's the trunk electronic address 6D, one fault, voltage too low. That's it. It never ever said a fault code for those switches disagreeing. Way to go, Volkswagen. You got a million other damn fault codes for useless, stupid things, and 3 switches to confirm the trunk is open or closed, yet no fault code to tell us when they disagree. Oh well. We figured it out. We'll get a latch for this thing and put it on.